Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenoff coming to you live from our home-ish at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Coming up after the 9:30 news, New York Times best-selling author Andrea Watkins is going to join us. She has been on the show numerous times before, grew up in a white Christian nationalist household, and she has some pretty interesting perspectives on some of the white Christian nationalists who are now in the Trump administration and their efforts to move us along in that direction. So Andrea Watkins joining us after the 9:30 news. We had to shuffle things around a little bit. So Jim Santel is going to be joining us in the 10 o'clock hour. So much, Greg, to talk about with Jim Santel.
Oh my gosh. Supreme Court, Trump, it's all, it's never not happening. The news, especially when it comes to the law, very big cases being decided by the courts right now.
Yep. So Jim's going to join us in hour number 2 right after the 10 o'clock news. After 10:35 for Audio Sorbet, where we lighten things up and get away from the news so we can all take a breath. An old colleague of mine and a good friend, Tony Larino, is going to be joining us after 10:30. Tony and I go back a long, long way in this business. So we'll share some memories. That's all coming up at 10:35. And then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, the All I Want for Christmas edition. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
It'll warm you. It'll
warm your heart. It'll
warm
your
exactly,
heart.
Exactly. Hey, we are still in the midst of our multi-state grown-up gift list text to win contest, but the only way to win every day, $200 in cash. That's our daily prize. We also have 3 grand prizes, a brand new snowblower, stainless steel cookware set, portable air conditioner, but you must enter via the Civic Media app. So grab your phone, open up the Civic Media app, select your favorite station, perhaps WAUK, and text in this word.
Oh boy.
The word is
food.
Food. FOOD. Should be tough to screw that one up.
Well, it
can always happen.
As in what you eat.
Yes, food, as in what you eat. Food is this hour's keyword, FOOD. You want to text that in by 10 o'clock this morning, and you're in the running for all of those prizes. You have numerous chances throughout the day to enter your next shot with a new keyword coming up in the 11 o'clock hour with Tom Hartman. So stay tuned for that. A couple of things we wanted to start off with, Greg Bach. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but President Trump did go back out on the stump last night.
Okay.
He was in Pennsylvania.
All right.
All about how great his economy is. The American
A++++.
A+, super plus A, everything is great with the economy. And I posted this on Twitter yesterday when I heard he was going back out on the road, and I just kind of speculated how long he would actually stay on script.
Yeah.
Because that tends to be an issue for him. And he didn't stay on the script. We have a little clip from last night, Calvin. Can we play that clip from the President of the United States, please?
You can give up certain products. You can give up pencils. Because under the child policy, every child can get 37 pencils. They only need 1 or 2. They don't need that many.
Sure.
But you always need steel. You don't need $37 for your daughter. 2 or 3 is nice, but you don't need $37.
So just cut back, everybody. It's fine. The man who is bragging about all of his gold decorations in the Oval Office and his ballroom and his jet that he's getting from Qatar that we're going to pay for the refurbishing and that he gets to keep. He is telling us how to tighten our belts and just give the kids less this year, Greg. It's going to be fine.
Well, I don't know. Scott Bassett said we're doing great and people are spending more than ever. So apparently they're not listening. They're going to be buying their kids more. But, the thing that goes back to me for all of this is that, one, the examples are so weird. The pencil, and he's truly a man who he thinks he's talking to a group of people in 1931.
Yeah.
Because pencils and dolls. I think that if any child got 37 dolls, at some point, even that child would say,
too much.
I'll take socks. Are any socks?
Can I just play with the box?
Is it another doll? But also the thing is, if the numbers are correct and there was higher Black Friday spending than ever, that means that a fair amount of that spending was probably done on credit cards. And the reason why people are spending on their credit cards is because they're not able to afford everything out of their pocket, so they have to make do because you're a parent. You want to give your kids stuff at Christmas. You want them to be happy. And I'm not saying that stuff makes kids happy, but every parent goes through that where they're like, I don't want to say no to my kid. I want them to be, I want them to open those presents on Christmas. Oh, but I also have to pay for groceries. I have to pay for school. I have to pay for my car. I have to pay for gas. I have to pay for home repair. Oh, the wife slipped and broke her ankle this morning.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be another $10,000. So listening to him say that, it is so tone deaf in the fact that regular folks like us, taxpayers here in Wisconsin, people who, regardless of who they voted for, are having a tough time. And people of all stripes are agreeing on that. It's just the problem is instead of doing something about it, Jane, it's about who do we blame? And that doesn't get anything done. We need to find real solutions so people can afford the things they need to pay for.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, Trump, look at some of your own policies and how that's affecting people's pocketbooks. Last night on the campaign trail where he was supposed to be talking about his fabulous economy, he also attacked transgender Americans, repeatedly blamed former President Joe Biden for inflation and illegal immigration, and then demanded that Representative Ilhan Omar leave the country. So... But yes, just buy less stuff, you guys, for Christmas, and it's all good.
I mean, I asked the question for a reason earlier this week with regard to the text to win contest. If you win that $200, what are you spending it on? And I'm gonna.
It might be bills.
I'm gonna say a lot of people are gonna be spending it either on presents for other people, or bills, or maybe even putting it away for a rainy day. I don't see a great percentage of individuals saying, I want to buy that pair of racing gloves I wanted for my Maserati. They're going to be using the money sensibly, because when we get money like that, when we come into those moments, we're usually saying to ourselves, all right, how much is it? We got to put this much away. We got to put this on the credit card. We got to do this and that. And it just, again, the speech is not geared towards solutions to the people. And when you watch the video, those are regular folks behind him. Those are all. I didn't see what looked like any billionaires behind him. They all look like hardworking folks from Pennsylvania. And I bet you all of them say, yeah, it's getting tough. Got to tighten the belt. Can't
and
do these things I want to do.
Yeah, even some of the exit interviews they did after this rally last night did not sit well with people who were saying, I love him. I think he's wonderful, but this is not my lived experience.
Yeah.
And somebody else said, do any of these people actually grocery shop? I would really be curious among members of the Trump administration, because they're all multimillionaires.
Yeah.
When is the last time any of them actually physically stepped foot in a grocery store?
I would ask the question, when have any of them actually had to think about, I don't know if I can afford that this month.
Right.
None of them have. And honestly, that spreads to a lot of people in Washington, a lot of people in Congress and the Senate. They are of other situations financially than we are. They don't have, even when they have the best of intentions of trying to help, they don't still understand the struggle of regular, hardworking, tax-paying folks. And, what I don't understand is the breaking point. There's going to come a point where people are going to be giving up their homes again because they can't afford their mortgages. I don't want to paint a doomsday picture. I really do not. I don't want to scare anybody, but the way it is going right now, it is becoming untenable. And the things that people have to pay for, you only get so much limit on your credit card too. And then you got to pay that at maybe between a 20 to 30% interest rate.
Yeah, it's shocking what credit card companies get away with. It truly is.
Yeah.
And again, if he's going to keep going out on the stump like this, and continuing to tell people, it's everything is great, just buy less. I don't
Yeah.
know that that's going to play so well down the road. But again, he can't. He bragged last night about how he didn't stick to the script.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem is like when you look at that topic or that whatever, that just goes back to who he's always been and how we have taken him into our media and to our lives. And once he started doing politics seriously in 2015, he was a joke, and he loved that because he got to say whatever he want. And then I mean, that's the thing is when I hear things like that, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of our doing though. Like we as an American electorate did not hold his feet to the fire like we did other politicians, Republican and Democrat, by the way, because honestly, I've said this before and I say this again. I said to myself, I could have dealt with a Marco Rubio 2015 candidate and a 2016 president versus what we have now. But because we treated it in the 24-hour media circus, he was the joke. He then used that to his advantage. And here we are 10 years later. And there's no going back. The toothpaste is out of the tube, Jane. There's no saying like,
Yeah.
well, he needs to be more responsible. Like we don't ever say, well, maybe he's finally becoming the president we all want. And that's because we don't expect that anymore. In fact,
you're right.
We're incredulous to it. If he came out today and said, I really want to work on comprehensive immigration reform with the Republicans and the Democrats in a room, we all be going, are you a robot?
Yeah.
Because we just don't expect that of him. And that's sad that we do not expect those standards from the president.
We have a couple of texts coming in that I wanted to share. Jim in Campbellsport says, Jane, to the president, tell him you don't need $100 billion. You can live on $25 million. Good luck. Yeah. And Tom in Hartford, listening on WAUK, says, if I win the $200, I'll be buying presents.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter in New London on WISS says, if the economy is so good, why do I have to buy less?
Yeah.
That's a really reasonable question.
The problem I have too, and what really worries me is the fact that the people who were at that rally, who had those sentiments of like, this isn't my experience, this is not right. I'm not, the economy isn't reflecting in my pocketbook. The economy they say is not reflected in my pocketbook.
Right.
But then the question is, do you go home and reflect on your vote? Do you reflect on your attitude? Do you reflect on your opinions and say, maybe there's something else? I'm not saying you become a liberal. I'm not telling you to change parties, or I'm saying just going home and as Will Westmoreland said, I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to say you have to tell me you were wrong. Just tell me you might have been lied to. And if your economy is bad at your home, ask yourself why and what can we do to change that? And you got to talk to your reps. You got to call your representatives now and tell them your, as you put it, lived in experience.
Yes, your lived experience. Go to myvote.wi.gov, myvote.wi.gov. If you are not certain who your representatives are, all you have to do is put in your address and they will all come up, including their contact information. So you can give them a call. When we return, the GOP healthcare plan? Okay. All the details on the way. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text or leave a message on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Don't forget, we are in the midst of our grown-up gift list multi-state text-to-win contest. So grab your phone. Open up the Civic Media app, which is the only way to enter. Pick your favorite station, WAUK, good choice. And text in the word food, F-O-O-D. This hour's keyword is food. Up for grabs every day, $200 in cash, our daily prize, along with 3 fabulous grand prizes. But you must enter via the Civic Media app. Text in the word food, F-O-O-D, and good luck. Tom Hartman with the next keyword coming up for you in the 11 o'clock hour. Sue from Franklin on the text line, listening on WAUK. Greetings from Punta Cana.
Oh.
The app, which is absolutely free, lets you listen from anywhere. Take it from Sue.
We need a map. We need a map with little pins in all the places we've been heard in. I mean, then we need people to travel more and listen to the app from those places.
Right. We had Jim was in Malaga, listening to us in Malaga. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I know where that is, Jane, but why don't you tell everybody else listening where Malaga is?
Malaga is an island.
That didn't help at all.
In the water. It's
Thank you.
In the sea.
When
welcome.
Jane retires, she's going to start geography lessons. She's going
Yes,
to be teaching.
I'll be teaching geography. Yes, look for that. Food is the word, F-O-O-D, and good luck. Healthcare. Wow. Ashley Moody was on Faux News. She's a member of the Trump administration. Here's what she said. The healthcare thing, this is a temporary fix while we actually dig in and explore how we can address healthcare for the American people. The Republican plan is we thought a lot about this. We put pen to paper, and this is our best scenario right now to propose a fraud-free, actually affordable healthcare plan. Wow, that was
did you say fraud-free?
Fraud-free.
Oh.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah.
That really didn't say anything.
I bet you they thought more about that statement than they did about healthcare.
I'm sure they did. The full Crapo-Cassidy bill that Senate Republicans are expected to hold a floor vote on this week directs the Department of Health and Human Services to put money into health savings accounts, okay? Paired with bronze or catastrophic plans on the exchanges. Now, it's my understanding that the bronze plans are the worst plans that give you the least coverage, correct? It's the gold and the silver and then the bronze.
Yeah.
Okay. Appropriates funding for payments to reduce premiums in plan year 2027. So not next year. Apparently next year you're just going to have to struggle with your increase in premiums of 200, 300%. But just hang on. Just hang on. It's going to be fine. Senate Republicans announcing yesterday they will vote on their own health care proposal later this week. The 32-page bill will not address the expiring marketplace tax credits.
Which is what they said they would talk about to reopen the government.
Yeah, but they will send payments to certain Americans through health savings accounts to cover some of the cost of health care. Now, the number that I've seen kicked around is $2,000.
Okay.
That doesn't cover anybody's deductibles.
Well, the
deductibles are at least $5,000 per individual, I would assume.
Well, and that on top of that, you're giving people money from the government. This is socialized medicine. This is not something that, like, it's not going to be it's not a fix. It's not even a Band-Aid. It's okay, you can pay your copay or maybe get a minor procedure done and pay out of pocket that way. But this is not a fix. This is not anything at all. And once again, they've had now 10 years to think about it.
15 years.
Well, no, I'm talking about I'm talking about Donald Trump when he said, I would say 14 years and 50 weeks. We've had 14 years and 50 weeks to talk about this. And again, this is not a solution. And we got Troy from Mount Horeb on the line who wants to talk about this. Troy, what do you have to say about the healthcare issue?
Hey, real quick, if they're going fraud-free, are they going to kick Rick Scott out of the Senate?
There it is.
But I'm bummed.
And if you don't know what that's, thank you very much, Troy. Appreciate
that's
the
great,
call.
Troy.
If you don't know what that's about, Google Rick Scott Medicaid fraud and read for yourself one of the largest Medicaid fraud schemes in American history. And somehow he didn't get arrested, didn't get thrown in jail, got to become a governor, and then got to become a senator. So,
and I've seen, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've seen other Republicans say that Rick Scott is the one who should be put in charge of fixing our healthcare system. Rick Scott.
Again, I'm not going to shake a stick at $2,000. That will help with something. But as I mentioned earlier in jest, if my wife falls and breaks her ankle coming down the stairs, then we are in trouble. We're not. I don't know if we're bankrupt, but we are not going to. It's not going to be an easy life because we're going to be paying on another thing. And I really just come on, give us some solution, not tacking on here's you can't pay everyone off. Basically, you can't just throw money at the problem. You have to come up with actual ideas.
Yes, actual solutions, which they've had since the ACA went into effect. They've had a long, many years to talk about their plans, but don't worry, they're focused on it now and they're putting things on paper. Yep. Maybe they're playing hangman. We don't know. News is next. When we come back, Andrew Watkins will be here. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Andrea. Everything sounding okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, you sound good. We come back in about 3 minutes.
Okay, see you then. Sorry, I have to put the music on. It's okay. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go live with Jane. So Sam went fine. Fine.
Interesting.
Not that she could get it to work, so she may be coming back.
Calvin, is everything all right with Andrea?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I can hear people, but I don't see anybody.
Yep, that's because we're not live yet, Andrea. We'll be back in about, I think, in about a minute. Here we go.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Before we get to our next guest, I do want to remind you we are in the midst of our multi-state grown-up gift list text to win contest. Our daily prize of $200 up for grabs through this week. But you must have the Civic Media app. So grab your phone, open up the Civic Media app, pick your favorite station, perhaps WAUK, and text in the word food. FOOD. Food is this hour's keyword. You have until 10 o'clock to text that in to be in the running for that $200, one of our 3 grand prizes. Tom Hartman will have the next keyword for you coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, but don't want you to miss out on this chance. So text in the word food, FOOD. Right now, we are delighted to be joined by Andrea Watkins, New York Times best-selling author, and she has a great Substack called For Such a Time as This. I highly encourage you to check it out and subscribe. Good morning, Andrea. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. How's everybody?
We are good. Right before you joined us, we were talking about the Republican plan for health care. I have a couple text messages that I just wanted to share with everybody before we move along. Andrea, Phil in Mount Pleasant said, my employer last June gave us a 2.9% raise. In July, they asked us to pay 3% more for insurance. What do you think about that? Yeah. And
Yeah.
Mary in Wauwatosa, Jane, I'll miss you on Civic Media. Your years of hosting, professionalism, and thoughtful responses to my occasional comments. As a happy retiree, I wish you the same. Thank you, Mary. I will be in touch with you, by the way, Mary. She's got a little tagline on there about she's got a resource of deserving underprivileged hopes who would welcome some household donations. So I will get in touch with Mary and we'll follow up on that. But Andra, I wanted to talk with you about the First Amendment. One of the reasons why we like having you on the show is because you grew up in a white Christian nationalist household. And so I think that gives you really unique perspectives on what is happening with some members of the Trump administration. Russ Vought, for example, is a prime example of Christian nationalism within this administration. But particularly, let's talk about the First Amendment and the right to free speech.
Okay. So, one of the things that I always talk about when I'm here is the role that the Heritage Foundation, they come up a lot when I talk to y'all. So, the role that the Heritage Foundation played in writing Project 2025 and started writing this thing in 1979. This is a long-term plan that they've put together. And so last year in October, they published a paper called Project Esther. I think we've talked about it here before, that targeted certain types of speech as being anti-Semitic and therefore termed it domestic terror to engage in that kind of speech and expression. Over the weekend, Pam Bondi took that and morphed it from the president's NSPM 7 declaration, which took a whole host of things, including things like anti-Christianity, anti-capitalism, anti-family, traditional family, and tried to label those things domestic terror. And so now Pam Bondi took that list and ordered the FBI and the IRS to investigate groups, Antifa groups, which, let's reiterate again, Antifa is not an organized thing. There isn't an Antifa club that you can join.
No,
I've tried many times.
He's still waiting for his shirt.
I know.
They were supposed to have t-shirts.
I gave him $30, all right.
But, this directive targets Antifa groups and asks the IRS to investigate them for quote unquote tax crimes at the same time that it orders Kash Patel to set up a tip line with the FBI so that Americans can call in and say, you know what, I think my neighbor's a member of Antifa. I think this guy at work is a member of Antifa, and get cash rewards for turning their fellow Americans in for these things. So it's a very sweeping attack on the First Amendment that we haven't seen much about in the media anywhere. And so I've been writing about it this week. I've done more than one interview about it, and I'm grateful to be able to talk about it here today because more Americans need to know about this very aggressive attack to essentially label our beliefs, the product of our own minds, domestic terror, and prosecute people for that.
And I think it's important that people remember that this administration touts that they are all about free speech. The whole thing about Elon taking over Twitter was he's going to bring back free speech, and instead of squelching Americans' voices, well, I'll tell you what, my timeline changed dramatically on Twitter once Elon took over, filled with hateful, misogynistic, racist, I mean, filth. But as you said, Andra, now they're very going to specifically target speech that they don't like. It's just speech they don't like. And this also, to me, seems a way to target fundraising mechanisms for Democrats, right? By labeling them all Antifa and they're all terrorist groups. And that way we can stop Democrats from raising money.
That has been a long-term goal of the Heritage Foundation to, dismantle a thing like Act Blue. That would be one of the principal things that they will ultimately target with this if more Americans don't rise up and start protesting this kind of thing immediately. Initially, I think the order that she put everything in is the order that they're going to go after. So initially, I think they're going after people who are immigration friendly, who are saying we need to have more immigration. We need to work for immigrants. We are attorneys for immigrants. We are groups that help people come here and remain here legally. We are protesting ICE. We are filming ICE. We are putting that on social media. We are trying to help people who are being attacked and kidnapped and disappeared by ICE and Border Patrol. So, those are the first groups, I believe, who are in line, because they're so far behind their quota numbers on who they wanted to have arrested and disappeared by now. So, all the pressure is being put on that one, I think, first. And so if you're in any of the groups that I just named, you could potentially, under this order, be deemed a domestic terrorist simply for trying to help a human being come here and flee oppression in another country, or remain here and keep from having to go back to a country where you were in danger.
Andrew, I'm just going to ask it's the question you usually ask at the end to wrap everything up, but I want to talk about it right now. And if people are listening right now and hearing this and going, well, I don't like Antifa and I don't like immigrants and I love this, so I'm on board. Why do I care? My First Amendment's not being threatened. What is the problem with that attitude towards this for that individual who is not a billionaire, not a millionaire, not a senator, not in the Trump administration, just like, hey, I like this. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to go back to my life. Why is that a problem for them?
Because history shows us, if we look at these kinds of attacks on speech and expression, that they always define this stuff extremely broadly and nebulously, so that they can then come along and just decide at random who has violated these orders. So just because today you think, well, I'm not doing anything, I'm not anti-capitalist, I'm not anti-American, I'm not anti-family, which is another anti-traditional family. I don't care who marries who, but saying I don't care who marries who is anti-family to this crowd. So, not understanding what they mean by these definitions and these groups of people that they're going to go after could mean that you think you're fine, right? You think you're fine and you're not fine. Yeah. And so it really is imperative that Americans wake up and understand these people mean a certain list of things when they define these groups, and understand that you could very easily be on that list without thinking you would be today.
Yep. If you are just joining us, Andrea Watkins is our guest. She is a New York Times best-selling author and the author of the great Substack called For Such a Time as This. I highly encourage you to check it out on Substack and subscribe. It's fantastic. Is anyone else really bothered by this whole Americans ratting out other Americans? That's terrifying.
For cash.
For cash. That is terrifying. What other countries, Andrea, have we seen things like this happen?
Oh, Nazi Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Did a version of that. Russia does that. China doesn't do that because they surveil their people so closely that they can just basically say, you can't have your own money anymore. We're shutting it off. And, you've lost all your social credit. So until you earn it back, we're not going to give you anything, access to anything that you want. So, authoritarian regimes, Hungary has done versions of this under Viktor Orban, which is one of the people who advised the Heritage Foundation on these kinds of documents.
Oh,
he has worked with them.
Forgot about that.
So, for an American to sit and look at this and say, we're too exceptional. This is America. This will never happen here. We have our right to our rugged individualism, and part of that means we get to say whatever we want. If that's what you want to cling to as believing that that's the America that this statement purports to champion, you are deluding yourself. And, you have to get up and realize that this is determined to rob you of every First Amendment protection you have.
And Greg, we've talked about this before, and we've seen this now happen in real time. At some point, you become not MAGA enough. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out. Was there anyone who was more MAGA than Marge? I mean, come on. And now she is persona non grata. She turned on the king and she's out.
Yeah.
And it's not that big of a stretch for that to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, the Night of the Long Knives in Germany was in part exterminating people who had been allies of the Nazi regime. So, you know, they do go after people who aren't MAGA enough, who aren't Nazi enough, who aren't whatever version of fascism enough. That is historically represented.
And I'm going to go back to something I said earlier in the show today, you know, and it pertains to your economic state of mind and where you are in your kitchen table economy. If you look at what we've been talking about right now, along with the things being said about our economy, and you're just not seeing it, and it's not, you know, connecting with you, and you feel, oh, I don't want to, I don't like my neighbor next door, but I'm not going to call a phone number and rat on him. I don't like this at all. Because again, when could it happen to me? That's when you need to sit back, self-reflection, ask yourself, have you been lied to, and move on from there. That is responsibility of those individuals now.
We're going to continue our conversation with Andrew Watkins on the other side. You can always join us at 855-752-4842. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide. You could pick us up in Punta Cana, baby, on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Commercial. It's always fun to do these because I can sometimes listen to ads that are like Wisconsin ads.
The Wisconsin
What?
accent.
No, I was telling Michael, my husband, because we're at a hotel today, and so he's sitting across from me, and I was telling him it's always fun to listen to some of these because I can hear Wisconsin ads and stuff, and I sometimes know what they are, and because of him.
I'm sure, right? You're
Yeah.
Wisconsin by marriage.
Yeah.
Hello, Michael, by the way.
So I don't know if you can hear me, Jane. Is this my last time with you? It is,
This
isn't it?
is. It is.
Okay.
Yep. Friday is my last day.
Oh, congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much. I am, you know, it's weird, Andrew. I've been doing this for so long, but at the same time, I am ready. and I'm satisfied. I guess
Yeah.
that's the best way to put it. Is I am satisfied with my 44 years.
Yeah, and you should be.
Thanks.
But I hope you'll keep in touch. I want to hear how you're
Oh,
doing.
honey, I'm gonna stalk you.
Okay.
You are never getting away from me. No,
All right,
I'm.
well, that's fine with me.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our one, our only Calzone, coming to you live from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same at 855-752-4842, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. You got about 7 minutes left to get your phone, open up the Civic Media app, and text in the word food. FOOD is this hour's keyword for our multi-state text to win grown-up giftless contest. $200 up for grabs every day. We're playing this through Friday, along with 3 grand prizes. So text in the word food by 10 o'clock. Tom Hartman will have another shot for you coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. And just one real quick heads up before we get back to Andra. I'm looking at the 511wi.gov website. There are accidents all over the state. In Milwaukee, in Beaver Dam, we have a whole closure of eastbound and westbound Wisconsin 28, around Madison, around Janesville, Green Bay, Appleton, Neenah. So please be careful if you're out on the roadways. It's still
Yeah.
slick and it's going to be blowing. And so just take a look at that website. It's free and it's very, very useful. 511wi.gov. As I mentioned, Andra Watkins is here. She is a New York Times best-selling author and also the creator of the Substack For Such a Time as This. I highly encourage you to check it out. Andra, in the time that we have left, let's talk a little bit about the Christian Nationalist Project 2025 vision for education.
Well, they published, the Heritage Foundation, again, we talk about them so much, published a document called the Phoenix Declaration for Public Education. And so the state of Florida just adopted the Phoenix Declaration
Of course.
as the first state in the country to undergird their public education system in the state of Florida. And it's a short document. You know, the Heritage Foundation doesn't put out a lot of shorts, but this one's pretty short. And it's a statement of what they believe needs to happen with public education. But I did a whole translation on my Substack of this document into Christian nationalist language. I took out all the benign, bland language that they hide behind and put in what they actually mean. So I encourage people to go and look at that newsletter because it shows you everything they intend to do with public education in Florida, but not just in Florida. They want to apply this to every state. So we're going to start seeing other states have this come up. And I want more Americans to be able to go into these meetings and ask questions like, when the Phoenix Declaration calls something an ideological fad, what does that mean? Because the document wants to purge all ideological fads out of public education. And so if you don't...
Ideological fads?
If you don't know that Christian nationalists believe that being LGBTQ, being trans, being non-binary, being in a same-sex marriage, you know, those kinds of things are ideological fads. That's what they mean when they're talking about ideological fads. It's a fad.
It's a fad.
You know, if people just couldn't learn about this, that it exists, if we just drove it all back into the closet and didn't teach anyone that this can happen, then nobody would be this. You know, it's just become this fad because we've learned so much about it. So, you know, that's what that means. But getting people on these boards and commissions to define what's an ideological fad to you? What does that mean? When you're saying that all people need formation, that's a big word in this document. All Americans need formation. What does that mean to you? because when a Christian nationalist uses the word formation, they mean Christian nationalist religious indoctrination. Formation means indoctrination. So rather than going in and telling them that, ask them to define, well, what does that mean? What is formation? Please define that for me. Tell me what that means. And then help them understand in the crowd what that means.
But I'm guessing that if I say, tell me what formation means, they're not going to say what you just said. They are going to then give me another buffed out, shined up piece of information that makes it sound very non-threatening and very welcoming to like, hey, we want better education. Like they have backups, right? Like if they say formation, I know what that means. But if I say I want them to tell on themselves, they know how not to do that.
Some of them do. At the local level, I wouldn't say that a lot of them do. So I'm actually putting together a booklet that groups can go into public meetings and have questions and have responses when they give answers like that, Greg.
Yeah.
So that more people in the audience can understand what they're really reading in this document, because it turns all U.S. public education into forced Christian nationalist religious indoctrination from kindergarten onward.
Well, and I've heard Pete Hegseth say this. We are going to teach our kids to love our country, right? We're going to teach them to be patriots. And I would assume that means never questioning anything, always accepting everything that you are told by the government, right? Just be a good soldier and do what you're told and everything will be fine.
Right. So, and accepting that we're a white Christian nation and we're founded as a Christian nation, the Christian nationalist revisionist history is another thing.
Yep. Follow Andrea Watkins, subscribe to For Such a Time as This on Substack. It is marvelous. Andrea, thank you so very much for all your appearances here. It's been so enlightening. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks. I love meeting you, and we'll stay in touch. Tell Tom Hartman I said hello.
We'll do so. Thanks a lot. Andrea Watkins, appreciate it. News is coming up next. When we return, we will be back with Jim Santel from Amicus, a law review. Stay close. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. So catch me if you can. I'm going back.
Good morning, Jim. Everything sounding good?
Calvin, you're sounding good. I'm on a little different system. How do I sound? Am I okay?
You sound good.
Okay. All right. Ready to roll. Calvin, I realize the snow is changing plans. You do think Jane is going to be in the studio Thursday and Friday yet, or last couple of days?
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butonoff, coming to you live from our home-ish radio park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. He normally joins us on Thursday, but because it's my last week, we've done a little juggling around. Had to have one more chance to talk to former U.S. Attorney, acting attorney, and our friend and colleague, host of Amicus, a law review on Saturdays across the network from 9 to 11. Jim Santel, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Jane, Greg, good to be with you once again on this week of celebration and commendation and excitement for you. And bidding you, of course, a wonderful next great adventure in your life, right?
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to spend a lot of time goofing around. That's pretty much, that's my goal.
Adventure, right?
Yeah.
Right,
That's what I'm shooting for, is the goof. We have so much to talk about with you, Jim. I'm not even sure where to start. I guess we can start with the Supreme Court case.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is huge and hugely bad.
It is hugely bad. The Supreme Court is arguing 3 different cases, including one probably right about now that involves a death penalty, believe it or not. But you're right, the big one for this week, not that that is at all insignificant, but the big one happened on Monday. It's one of the biggest cases of this term. It's a case involving a woman who was appointed properly and behaved properly and acted properly as an FTC commissioner, Federal Trade Commission. And the president decided he didn't like her politics and so terminated her without cause, without any reason to believe that she had somehow engaged in malfeasance. She appealed that decision, and lower courts, 2 of them, a district court and appeals court, said, no, we're going to reinstate you. The president has no authority to fire anybody in an independent agency. This goes back more than 100 years. We're going to reinstate you. And in fact, they reaffirmed something called Humphrey's Executor, which is this case back in 1935, 90 years ago, that said just that. FTC commissioners cannot be fired. So it happens again just recently. And the Supreme Court on Monday, to cut to the chase, the headline is that it looks like a majority of the Supreme Court are going to do as they often do, swing big. They're probably going to overrule Humphrey's executor. They're probably going to give this president even more power and permit him to terminate the positions of independent agencies over which he has no authority. Huge if that happens. It hasn't happened yet, but the tea leaves are there from the oral argument on Monday. And if he does that, it not only affects the FTC, but many, many other agencies. And the big thing that Jane, you and Greg and I have talked about, this is almost certainly the codification once again of this notion that we have a supreme presidency and the president can do whatever he wants. It appears that the Supreme Court is heading down that road. A big case, as you have accurately noted, and potentially cataclysmic, as the 3 dissenters likely have noted on Monday. A major case, major change in the way that federal government operates coming down the road.
Boy. First of all, let's start with why it was important to have these independent agencies.
Yes.
What is the logic behind that, Jim? Why was that important?
Right. All sorts of agencies. People don't realize this, but your listeners do, but many people don't. That there are agencies out there that you want to be independent of what? Politics, right? And partisan views about things. And so, for example, one of those that may be protected is the Federal Reserve. That's the big one everybody thinks about. It's an independent agency. You don't want the president. All presidents would love to dictate interest rates and mortgage rates, that sort of thing, to increase their political stature. But we don't want that. It's bad for the economy, bad for trade with respect to the FTC, bad for consumers with respect to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, again, the National Labor Relations Board, bad for labor, all kinds of things. The Congress established them decades ago, said, Mr. President, whoever you are, hands off. You can appoint commissioners, you can board members, but you cannot do things to affect their work. That has always been the case because we want them to act on behalf of whom? The people of the United States, independent of partisan views. And that appears to be coming to a close now. But that was the original purpose, and it still is to this day, but maybe soon will be a part of our history.
What is, what is the direct result if that goes, like, let's say it just goes 6-3 in favor of the president? Do you just see the 2026 just doing away with either individuals or just agencies altogether? And I guess the question I also have is, people will say, well, people serve at the pleasure of the president. Isn't that important to know that the president can do what they want? I guess, what do you say to those individuals? It's a lot to take in, and a lot of people don't understand that the president can't have all knowing and also, as you said, a supreme president.
Right. And it's also, the three of us have called this before, the unified executive theory. That's what this is. That comes right out of Project 2025 that you, Jane, and you, Greg, have talked about so frequently. This is that concept incarnate. And yeah, it does require, your listeners will do it, but it requires all Americans to get a little wonky and say, what is the difference between those positions, cabinet positions, Department of Labor, Department of Justice, State, Commerce, Agriculture, all of them out there that are directly within the president's, the executive branch, and those that are not created that way. That's a fundamental notion that everybody's got to embrace. We've been doing this for decades or so, ever since FDR, even before, when we created these agencies that do the work. They are supposed to be independent. And once again, it's your Congress that said that. That's not just Jim Santel or three members of the Supreme Court who said it. The Congress said we don't want any president, Republicans or Democrats, to be in control of these agencies. And Greg, to answer your all-important question, this will have a tripping effect, because if it's the FTC, all of these other agencies, depending upon how they write this case, which will probably be broad, they swing big, as I said, probably will say the president should, in fact, have this great power. And if they do, that affects all of these other agencies. Look for the politicization of conduct of all of these agencies that Americans rely upon. Again, the Consumer Product Safety Commission keeps the equipment in our homes safe and secure. Trade issues, all kinds of things, labor issues across the board. And all of that potentially going away and being at the whim of a president who will make policy based not upon the best interests of America, could be, but doesn't have to be, but based upon what politics might command or might dictate to that particular president. That is a fundamentally, wildly different way of operating the federal government. Final comment I'll make about this, I'm going on long, I know, but it's so important as you recognize that this is also part of John Roberts' long plan. When he was back in the White House, he talked about this. We have talked on this wonderful show about that decision back in July of 2024, saying the president is all powerful, can't be entangled with things like criminal prosecutions, has to be strong, can't be feeble, has to be muscular, do all these things. This is that. This is that incarnate. Welcome to the new American federal government sometime in the next several months.
If you're just joining us on Matenaer On Air, our guest is our friend and colleague and host of Amicus, a law review on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 across the network. Jim Santel is here. We are talking about the Supreme Court, them hearing a case that would essentially allow Donald Trump as president to get rid of independent agencies and just do what he wants. And I guess my question, Jim, is for John Roberts and the Supremes who are leaning in this direction, is this indicative that they don't think another Democrat is ever going to be president? Because it seems like you're doing this for this guy. What if the next administration is a Democratic administration?
Or just a Republican who hates this?
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who's got a sense of that thing called the Constitution and the way that our system has been established, right? One way or another, Donald Trump is not going to be our president in about 4 years from now. Somebody else will be there. But the Supreme Court announces, say in March, say in January, say in June, that you've got complete authority over all of these agencies. It was never the case before. Then you've got any president down the road, could be not of a party that's presently in office, who's got this tremendous power. And your very good questions go to the point you often make, which is you don't want that kind of power vested in any president, regardless of their political background. It is not the way we work. And again, it does depend upon how they describe this in their ultimate opinion, but it goes back to this notion that we're changing government. It is also stunning, Jane, I think implicit in your very good question, what is Amy Coney Barrett thinking? What is Neil Gorsuch thinking? What is Brett Kavanaugh thinking about the future of the country that they have grown up in? And they're younger on the bench, obviously. We know what Sonia Sotomayor thinks and Eleni Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson feel about this. What are they thinking about their America? They're going to be around for a long period of time, as are their children, presume their grandchildren. What kind of a legacy are they establishing in all of these cases, including the shadow docket that give the president all of this authority, and now seemingly codifying it for the future? What is their thought process right now? It wasn't on display on Monday.
Well, my other question too is that, I imagine if you're sitting on the Supreme Court, that's a very hefty role. It's full of a lot of ego and power.
Yes.
What happens if the president just comes and says, I don't need any of you?
Right.
Goodbye.
Right.
You can keep your robes. Goodbye.
Right.
Like you're setting up a government that can exterminate your job and be done with you, and you have been the last guardrail to allow it to happen. So either you think you're going to get some higher up, like a cleric or something, but you can be setting up your own doom.
Right. The president, again, the executive branch, we know, has an awful lot of power even before this is happening now. But it also has authorities with respect to implementing specific things. How often have we talked about that issue that Andrew Jackson raised when he was confronted with the Supreme Court he didn't like? Yeah. He said, you and whose army is going to enforce what you say? Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court does not have an army. They've got a beautiful building. It's under some reconstruction right now. They're on Capitol Hill. But that's it. And they've got some law clerks and some staff. If a president wakes up one morning, and as he's already said, the president's always said, you know what? He said this recently, we don't need the legislature anymore. No. You just go across the parking lot, Greg, and you do exactly what he just said about the legislature. I don't need to have you folks deciding things. I will decide them. And that's when you've got the despotism that we've so often talked about, Jane.
Is there a phone number for the Supreme Court?
Yeah, right. The answer is yes.
Yes.
And right. And there is. And, I will advocate what I've so often said, and you've seen me do this before. Stamps, here they are. Put them on an envelope and make a handwritten letter. And yes, affirm or send some to Ketanji Brown Jackson, telling her how much we appreciate what she's doing. But send a letter to Amy Coney Barrett from the Seventh Circuit and say, you know what? If you're deciding and going this direction, don't, and explain the reason why you as an individual American feel so strongly about this. Write a letter to them.
I'm going to have to work on my handwriting. We're going to continue our conversation with Jim Santel on the other side. You can join us at 855-752-4842. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. We will be right back. What am I hearing? Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, our one, our only calzone on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine, where you can join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up after the 10:30 news, a segment we call Audio Sorbet, where we get away from the heavier topics of the day and talk about light, silly things. An old friend and colleague of mine, Tony Larino, is going to be joining us. He's going to tell stories about how I was a terrible person when we worked together back in the day. No, everyone is required to say nice things about me or they don't get to come on.
Yeah, the checks
Just
will
the
not
way
clear
it
if you
is.
say something mean. The checks
Exactly.
will not clear.
The check will bounce. So keep that in
unless
mind.
morale improves. All right, so there we go.
Jim Santel is here, our friend and colleague and host of Amicus, a law review on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 across the Civic Media Network. More Supreme hanky-panky going on. Let's talk about some other things going on at our highest court.
Right. We know last week, of course, the Supreme Court, in its shadow docket, which I know the two of you and all your listeners love so very, very much, permitted Texas to go ahead with those 5 Republican majority districts. And just this past yesterday, and again this morning, the Supreme Court's back in business hearing oral argument. This morning's oral argument is one of those cases where, frankly, you would want judges finally to decide this. It has to do with the death penalty, and there's a case which it says basically that if someone has intellectual deficiencies of a profound level, we don't put them to death, even though the Eighth Amendment, again, mandates that it does mandate that there not be cruel and unusual punishment. You can execute people, but you still have to do it within parameters. They're deciding a death penalty case right now while we're talking. The other big one from yesterday, which again, not clear at all on the tea leaves on this one, kind of a Citizen United revisited case. This one has to do with whether or not individual political parties can basically ally with and to support campaigns directly with money. And that's a big change. If they go in a direction that maybe they'll go in, although it's not quite certain how this is going to go, could influence a lot, not only the access of Republicans and Democrats to monies, but also the involvement of political action committees. No small thing. That was just yesterday. Mm-hmm. And again, they're back in, maybe it's good they're taking a rest, but they're back in business again in January. I think they start again on January 12th. And as we've talked before, we're still waiting for them to decide if we still have a Voting Rights Act. That's coming up. We're still waiting for them to decide about tariffs. And there again, as the three of us have chatted before, there is a peculiar situation, but a good situation where maybe, just maybe, a majority are going to say, Donald, that's too far. You can't impose tariffs. That's Congress. But it also seems to be a little bit at odds with what they were doing on Monday. So how do you reconcile all of that? Yeah. Who knows? And again, until we see the paper, until we see the orders in all these cases, I'm out of the business of predicting, as we all should be. This court is just not predictable at all.
No, they sure aren't. We're talking to Jim Santel. Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say, we have Jack from Merrimack on the phone who's been waiting patiently. Jack, what did you have to say?
Hey, Jack.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm definitely going to miss Jane, and I wish her a marvelous retirement, and I hope she enjoys her time.
Thank you, Jack.
But I'm definitely going to miss you. I miss Todd, and I even miss the Devil's Advocates, and that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, when I was connected with you guys, I was asked, you have something to say about the Supreme Court? And my answer is, oh boy, do I.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to keep it to the topic, which is these crazy decisions. They are, they're leading us directly into a dictatorship, and that's pretty outrageous. We're going to have to, if we ever get out of this administration, we're going to have to reenact some of those laws. Now, this is my question for Jim. If I understand it correctly, when Congress passes a law, they can say this law is not subject to review by the Supreme Court, and so if we do ever get out of this, we have to essentially repass those same laws that established independent commissions, and then the Congress must add that caveat. The Supreme Court cannot reverse this or cannot review it.
Yeah.
Right. You'll
Thank
always
you very much.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah,
Thank you,
right.
Jack,
You always
for the
get
call.
somebody who will even petition on that, challenge that. But your point, Jack, is an important one, which is Congress always has voting rights issues, commerce issues, Citizens United. Congress always has the opportunity to do a legislative fix. And that's pending in the Congress right now in all these cases. Where is our legislature? That's your point, Jack, right? To take action. Maybe it won't do it right now. Maybe it could undertake some of that in the latter half of the Trump administration. Donald Trump won't sign that, but at least we've got some options down the road. And the legislature could be the key to reversing much of what we're talking about right now. You're spot on, Jack.
One thing, I'm sorry, Greg. One thing we're not going to have a time to get around to, and I left a note for myself that essentially said, "Pretty girl loses job for which she's not qualified." Alina Habba's out of a job.
Yes, out of New Jersey. She is gone again because they improperly, can you imagine this? They improperly appointed her. Meanwhile, Lindsay Halligan's still in her job and got judges in Eastern Virginia saying, "What are you doing here? We're not accepting your petitions." But you know what, Jane? You know what? There's something else. There is another wonderful woman, and it's you. And you are in this position. I want to tell you that before the end of the week, you're going to be the recipient of, that's right, these pretzel bites. They're coming in your direction. And yes, indeed, there's also a cake that has your name on it. Here it is. And it's going to be for you. It says, my baker just said Jane on it. And
Jim.
Jane, always to be with you. My best wishes to my friend.
Cake.
We're looking forward to a whole lot more of that in the future. Not goodbye, more of the same. You are the best. Jane Matenaer, always.
Thank you so much, my friend. Jim Santel, his show is fabulous. Listen Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, Amicus, a law review. Thank you so much. News is next. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Pretzel bites for everyone. Woohoo!
But for the weather, Jane, they would have been yours right now.
That is so sweet of you, Jim. That is hilarious.
Although it's weird too, I was going to say on the air. It's a very nice cake. We will get this to you probably as soon as tomorrow. But my baker just wrote on it. It doesn't even say it just says Jane. This is Jane. It's kind of like in the office when they say it is your birthday. This just says Jane. But it does come in celebration. I will get that to you, my friend, through the snow and everything else. And we're going to go out, the three of us and four of us are going to go out for dinner and lunch sometime soon. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Jim. Love you.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. I need my Kleenex now.
Good morning. Am I on?
Tony Lorino.
Listen, if I knew all it was going to take was pretzel bites.
I'm easy. What can I say? Give me one
and Jane,
second.
I have a look. Yeah.
I'll be right. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yep.
All right, Marconi, I am back.
Excellent. Yeah, I have a little something for you too. I was looking forward to seeing you in person.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, I don't blame you in the least either. I mean,
yeah, I just that drive and then in rush hour and in weather, I just no. I'd be really annoyed if I got killed on my last 3 days at work. I'd be highly annoyed by that.
that might be the quote. That might be the quote of a career right there.
Right?
I'd be highly annoyed if I got killed on my last 3 days of work.
Yeah, that would tick me off, boy.
I was up. Kate had to leave. She had a case this morning at 6:30.
Oh wow!
So I set my alarm for 5 to shovel, or because I thought we were going to have more than we were.
I know.
And it wasn't. I mean, it was heavy as you know what, but like, whew. So
yeah, that's what I'm gonna. After we're done here, I'm gonna go out and scrape that. And now it's that horrible, crusty, wet, awful stuff.
I'm in my basement. I haven't looked. Is it coming down more, or is it just
no? It's kind of
just
dissipated.
Yeah.
At least here on the northwest side. But again, looking at this 511 map, there's crashes all over the place.
Perfect. Well, I'll pop by and see you sometime soon.
That would be great. Hey, I got nothing but time. You want to lunch? Let's lunch.
Yeah. Hey, we can lunch. Let me get through. I have been taping so many Christmas shows.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, we got to talk about what you do with.
I don't even know what I do half the
time. Hey, you've managed to make a career for yourself. That's very impressive, Tony.
I'm having fun most of the time, you know. And
hey, that's huge.
So,
that's huge.
Yeah. And I can do it, right, you know, for the first couple of years, especially when the kids were younger. Now they're in school and everything. It was having that flexibility was key because I had to do a lot of juggling.
No doubt. Yeah. No, are they 6 now?
They're 6. They're 6, 7, 6, 7.
Oh,
almost.
No.
They're 6, 7.
Are they all about that?
Oh, it's a thing. Yeah. I mean, it's not like everything, but every time it comes up, like their math homework, 6 + 7. Blah,
I
blah,
just
blah.
saw Vance wants that band. He wants 6, 7 band.
I mean,
the phrase.
That's whatever.
Because he's insane.
Do we have more important things to worry about than 6, 7? I mean, come on.
I know, right?
His kids are probably of the age that he's getting it more than I am personally, and so many others. But whatever, you know.
Oh, for Pete's sake. It could be worse. It's not Baby Shark, you guys. Good morning. Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvitini on the board, coming to you from our home-ish at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today, All I Want for a Christmas Edition. It's going to be a good one. I hope you can stick around for that. Right now, we are joined by a good friend and former colleague. He is with Throwback Nation Radio. The one and only Tony Larino is here for Audio Sorbet. Good morning, Tony. How are you doing?
Jane, how are you?
I am great. I am excited. I'm nervous. I'm all the things.
What do you have
3 days to go.
nervous about? You get to sleep in.
Wait, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know I'm the new guy here on this station, but what are we talking about? What's going on? What's happening?
Greg, Friday is my last show because I'm retiring.
Hold on.
Did no one told you this?
What? How am I just finding out about this right now?
Communication.
Do I get to retire? Do I
not
get to
yet.
retire?
Not yet. Just a couple 20-ish years, and you'll be good to go.
It's generous.
No, I'm very excited. I am, but I'm gonna miss it too, Tony. This has been my life for 44 plus years, and I'm gonna miss the discussions we have. I'm gonna miss the intellectual discussions that we have, and all the silly, ridiculously stupid stuff we talk about too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We laugh so much. It's such a gift.
It is. Yeah, and Greg, you and I have gotten to know each other a little bit here off the air. Jane and I worked together at one of her previous stops, and I was the producer of the morning show at that point. And working alongside Jane, we would sit around on the back patio of the radio station and come up with some of the silliest ideas.
Yes.
And just spitfiring on what was going on where we were trying to find humor and put it into words. And Jane has a fantastic comedic timing. We've all known that for a long time. But Jane's theater background, the fun that she has being a performer and, getting into it a little bit, people take that for granted. And people took that, I think, for granted at our previous location where we were, in that they didn't always think of Jane as willing to be the actor that she is. And so when we started coming up with things, and I pulled out a couple clips here, Jane, so you don't know, you may or may not know about, you don't know about this.
I don't know.
Greg, can we pull up one, the Summerfest one? Do you have that one?
We pulled one of the Summerfest ones. Calvin, please play the Summerfest clip.
Great heroes of Summerfest.
Today we salute you, Mr. Useless Souvenir Seller Guy.
Mr. Useless Souvenir Seller Guy.
Without you, Mr. Useless Souvenir Seller Guy, where would bright-eyed tweens waste their allowance on trinkets to clutter up their bedrooms?
Becky, go clean it up now.
From overgrown Dr. Seuss hats to glow-in-the-dark anything.
2 for $5.
I love that line.
Sir, are the champion of impulse buys in 85-degree heat.
I want a feather boa. Yeah.
Inflatable, it's undebatable. You are the conquistador of crap.
Big love, SpongeBob.
3 cheers for tchotchkes.
Hip, 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 hooray.
And you, Mr. Useless Souvenir Seller Guy.
Mr. Useless Souvenir Seller Guy.
Yeah.
You probably haven't heard that, Jane, in about 17 or 18 years, have you?
My God, Tony, I
tell-
completely forgot about that.
Can I tell a little story that might be a little embarrassing for Jane, but it made me laugh when you sent this, Tony? Like earlier this year, we were talking about like our favorite commercial campaigns, and I think that the progressive one that's out right now, that's like, you don't have to turn into your parents. That is an amazing one. But I always thought that the Budweiser Real Men of Genius was one of the best. And Jane's going, I've never heard of that one before. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I tried to explain it to her, and I showed her one, and she thought it was great. And then you sent this to me. I'm like, what?
That was a long time ago.
It was 10 years. I'm just kidding. No.
It was.
That is a perfect spoof on a great commercial.
Oh, gosh, Tony. And you sang that. You sang those high parts. That's
really
amazing.
poorly.
That
really
is so
2 for
funny.
$4.
Yeah.
That,
$2 for $5.
That was
thing
great.
of it is, and this was something, Jane, I was a theater kid in high school too, and you reinstilled this in me as we worked together at the old place. And that was, you got to leave it all out there sometimes. You got to stand by your opinion. If we're talking about issues and real important stuff, you got to stand by your opinion. You got to back it up with facts, back it up with your experiences, back it up with your feelings. But if we're doing stuff that is completely silly, you got to stand by it too, and you got to own it.
Yep.
Even if it is trying to hit high notes on the conquistador of crap and stuff like that, so you just got to own it and know that this is a performance art, that we are involved in. And it's okay if you're making fun of yourself a little bit. It's okay if it's
you
not.
You should make fun of yourself.
Oh,
yeah,
it's good
self-deprecation.
for you. Yes, it's good for you to be able to laugh at yourself.
There's a saying that goes in all comedy and really any sort of performance. It's commit to the bit. Go in full force. Do not wink at the camera. Be as much of the character as you can be. Get the best laughs. Get the best reaction you can get, and you're always going to come out on top. And that's what happens when you also have great production too. And that is a great commercial. And that was one of 3 you sent.
Yeah, there were a couple more. Jane, we'll pull more out and we'll share them at another time. But there was one other moment you mentioned, Greg, just a second ago. Commit to the bit.
Yeah,
and get people laughing. Jane has one of those iconic laughs. You know this about yourself, Jane. Mm-hmm. And when you get Jane really honest to goodness laughing and rolling, you have hit pay dirt. And there was one moment on the show that stood out to me when we were working together back in it was, I know the exact date because it was January 9th.
Oh, wow.
Of 2007. Calvin, Greg, do we have this one as well? It was about the time, you had just gone to see a certain artist that was very hot at the time, Jane.
Who's your favorite artist out there right now of today? Your favorite artist out there today. You asked for her CD. You've listened to her CD over and over.
Christina Aguilera.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if we have something special from Christina.
Hi, this is Christina Aguilera, and I'm here to sing you happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jane. Happy birthday to you.
Where did they clip this from?
That is so funny, Tony.
Life before AI, life before Siri having a real sounding voice. We just used the computer voice. We were trying. We called. We called because we knew you were a fan, and we had called the record company and we said, can we get a little message for Jane for her birthday from Christina? And of course, it's Christina Aguilera. She's at the top of her game, and she's on tour.
Right.
And but we're going through all these archives of stuff. Can we find something? And we found the Christina Aguilera, and it's like, Jane will actually like this more than a real message from Christina Aguilera.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so priceless. You got to send me this stuff, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
I've been a bad disc jockey over the years. I don't save things. I didn't save things because who's going to care about that?
Who's got room for that many VHS tapes, Jane?
You're the kind of media person that my wife would appreciate because she's like, why do we need all these CDs in the back still? So
you save everything.
If you're
I
just
save
joining
too
us
much.
on Matenaer,
That's the problem.
If you're just joining us on Matenaer On Air, we're talking to Tony Larino from Throwback Nation Radio, who's also a dear friend and former colleague of Jane Matenaer, who we are celebrating on Audio Sorbet this week because it is your final week.
It is my final
Jane's
week, final
last
show
week,
on Friday.
Day 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
There it is.
Thank you, Calvin.
And one of the things, Jane, that has been your concern and has been the people who are coming on talking to you from your yesteryears, and you're always like, I just hope I was a good person. I hope I was nice to them. I hope they like. And I'm going to say this is that I've seen retirements before, and when someone who isn't regarded or not liked it retires, it's I'll get a card or tell them I say congratulations or something very, very professional but non-committal. The amount of people who've come out and said things to you, talked about you from your old days, from your current days, it, I think, very much shows you've not only had a good impact on what you do, but also how you've impacted the people and the message you've conveyed throughout the years.
And I'm going to add to that, Greg, and that comes down to two things. When I think of Jane Matenaer, I think of kindness. I think of kindness, watching out for other people, watching out for the people around her. Jane, we're not going to talk about this one on the air, but she did some things behind the scenes for me personally that were above and above and above and beyond for someone who was just in my early years in the business. Yeah. And so gracious and kind. So kindness is number one, but also principled. because you can be you can be kind, right, and not have, not care about what's coming out of the speakers or not care about the product. Jane cared. She was principled in the way that she approached what we were doing on the air, that we were going to do good things in the community, the Stuff the Bus events and all the food that was raised for years and years and years with Feeding America, and now being able to exercise different muscles of that with Civic. Jane, I'm so proud of you for that, because you've been able to show off the principles that I've known for decades that you've held so dear. And when you were working in music radio, it's a different beast. You don't always have the time. It's not the format. It's not the this. But you've been able to talk about things that are near and dear to you. Your work with animals through the years, all the different Humane Society work and charity work. You're real, you're principled, and you're kind, and we are all better people for having you. And you may be retiring, but your spirit is going to live on with people like me that you've helped mentor, people that you've taught through the years, people like Greg, so many others as well.
That is so kind of you, Tony.
Jane,
Thank you so
you're getting
much.
compliments. So do you need some tissue?
Yes, they're in the
There you go.
studio. Thank you for,
There you go.
yes, they're too
No problem.
far away from me now.
Yeah.
No, I would really, I worry because you forget, and I really hope I was good to people. I can think back of instances where I should have been better, and I could have been a better mentor to people, and I regret that. And so I would like to think I learned from some really good examples of wonderful partners that I worked with on how to treat people. I also learned some really bad examples from other people I worked with on how not to treat people. So hopefully I followed the good folks that I had the good.
Oh, you sure did.
The good
You have a lot
fortune
to be proud
to
of.
work with. And so do you. Tony Larino, thank you so very much, my friend. You got to send me those spots.
Congratulations.
That's hilarious. Oh, God, those are hilarious.
You're getting a hard drive full of stuff, Jane. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tony. Love you, my friend. Stay
Mwah.
with us. We're going to wrap it up with This Shouldn't Be a Thing, All I Want for Christmas edition. You are listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Oh, my God.
Jane, you still there?
Yes.
I picked the perfect time to get like a frog in my throat there in the middle of
That was so nice of you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You got me all verklempt.
Oh, stop it. I'll shoot you a message and we'll get together or something.
Yeah.
I'll shoot you a message a little later this afternoon.
Perfect.
Okay.
I love you, my
See you
friend.
guys.
Thank you.
Mwah. Love
Thank
you too. See
Oh,
ya.
my God, that clip. Oh, my God. That is so
There are more. I'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh. Good morning and welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our home-ish at Radio Park in Racine, where you can join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Thanks again to our guest this morning, Andrew Watkins, Jim Santel, and my old colleague and friend, Tony Lorino. Is it bad to laugh at your own stuff? Greg Bach, you're a stand-up comic.
Oh, God, I'm hilarious. Are you kidding me? I have there's a video of mine on YouTube that has 700 views. I think 494 of them are me just going, I am so
good.
Funny.
That
so
clip
funny.
he played of that spoof commercial we did, I had completely forgotten about that. Oh, God, that was,
honestly,
that was hilarious.
Jane, that is growing up, that was the morning radio I listened to, where the fun, don't get me wrong, I love what we do here, but there's something about that, the 80s, 90s, 2000, that morning 6 to 10 a.m., get you up in the morning, cup of coffee, making you laugh, and
do silly things.
Yeah, and Tony's right. You have, in my opinion, iconic radio laugh. It's whether you're laughing with or at, it's rich, it's deep, and it's passionate.
It is passionate. There's no doubt about that. Well, again, thanks to Tony for that. That was so much fun. I'm a
We're gonna
bad
have more
person.
people coming through. More people coming through this week.
We have two very special friends coming in tomorrow.
Yep, we're not going to tell you who.
I know who they are.
No, not you. I'm telling them.
Okay.
I'm teasing it. They got to come by and stop by for the show.
We have two special guests coming in tomorrow. You know their names.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us for that. Right now, Calvin, yeesh, it's 10:55. That means it's time for
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
You got a couple days. If you find a thing you think should not be, send it into Greg and me at Jane Says at civicmedia.us. This is from CBS News. Calvin found this. You got to love it. Headline reads, Drone drops crab legs, steak, and weed into South Carolina prison. Folks were planning an early holiday Old Bay crab boil. Yes.
So this wasn't mistaken?
Oh no, 'twas 3 weeks before Christmas, and across the prison yard, a drone-dropped package was found by a guard. With steak, weed, and crab legs and cigarettes for days. And to season it all, a tin of Old Bay. This is from the article on CBS News. The drone meal was dropped into the Lee Correctional Institution prison yard by a drone. Apparently, some folks were planning an early holiday crab boil and steak dinner, along with their weed and smokes, all dropped by a drone. A photo from the prison shows a raw steak still in the grocery packaging, crab legs, Old Bay, and a side plastic baggie of marijuana and several cartons of cigarettes. The drone was seized on Sunday morning. Prison officials say they're investigating. So far, no arrests have been made. A spokeswoman says, I'm guessing the inmates who were expecting the package are now crabby.
Boo. In a follow-up story from notarealnewsite.com, all the evidence in this incident has disappeared. It cannot be found.
We don't know what happened. Yeah.
Who took it? Did Santa take it back in the middle of the night? I'm sorry, did Santa drone take it back in the middle of the night?
I think there were elves involved.
You gotta
in
love
little
that kind of
striped
confidence.
unis.
Yeah, you gotta love that confidence. Shoot your shot. What's the worst that's gonna? If I'm a guard, I know that it's my job and I'm supposed to be serious, but I have to be like, that's good. I like that one. It's like watching your kids swear. You're like, I want to be mad at you, but come on, man.
Yes, you got to think that the prison officials are going, that wasn't bad, you guys.
Yeah. Exactly.
You gotta give them points
for the steaks, guys.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So the prison officials, I'm sure, had a nice meal and a couple of bags of weed and a couple cartons of smokes. that I'm sure they'll turn over to evidence, which is
absolutely. It's
that
about
all-
the law, people. But you got to test it all. You got to test it all, James.
first.
Make sure it's all safe. It could be a bag of oregano. We don't know. We don't know who sold us this weed to a drone.
Quality control.
Quality control, indeed. That's exactly
that wraps
right.
up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Thank you, Greg and Calvin and all of our engineers and everyone at Civic Media, because without you, nothing works. And thank you most of all for calling and texting and watching on the live stream and for listening. It means the world. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. Please be careful on the roadways.
Yes.
Stay tuned. News is coming up next. Tom Hartman will have that next keyword for you for our multi-state text to win grown-up gift list contest. Have a wonderful day. We will see you tomorrow.